Welcome back to Book Break. It is time for us all to get really excited together because in this video I'm going to talk about some of my most anticipated books coming out in between now and the end of the year. So these are all of the books that I just cannot wait to be out in the world. Starting actually with one that is out today at the time that you're watching this video. By the time this video goes live, it will be the publication date for The Changing Man by Tomi Oyamakindi. This is a YA horror novel. I'm a massive scaredy cat and I don't tend to read a ton of horror, but The Changing Man has just been intriguing me so much ever since I first heard about it. So I have managed to grab this proof from work, which I'm going to read straight away. So by the time that you're watching this video, I will have read this book. Hopefully not being too terrified, but it just looks brilliant. And it says here on the back of my proof, this book will change you whether you like it or not. It's about a girl called Ife who starts at this prestigious boarding school. I love a boarding school setting in a book where there is this mysterious urban legend about the changing man. And sure enough, Ife starts seeing a mysterious figure in the shadowy halls of the school who looks strangely like herself. So that one is out now for you to get your hands on straight away. But coming up for you to get excited about very soon, on the 14th of September, we'll see the publication of The Fall of Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Such a beloved author for so many of you. I know that the anticipation around this book is sky high. I've heard this one described as a scorching, spicy romantasy with high stakes and enemies to lovers. So all of your favourite things that you want from Jennifer L. Armentrout. A very different kind of book also coming out on the 14th of September is Before We Say Goodbye by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is book number 4 in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series, which you may know I happen to love. I have a whole video where I talked you through the first 3 books in the series, so I will link to that below. But now here is book number 4 and I have a proof of it in my hands and I cannot wait to read it. All of these books are set in one of 2 cafes in Japan which offer their customers the ability to time travel. So you can go to one of these cafes, sit in a particular seat, follow some very strict rules and travel through time to meet people from your past or your future that you need to kind of come to terms with something that's happened. You can't change anything when you travel through time, but you can use this time travel to sort of accept things that have happened or change your perspective on things that have happened. So the stories are really, really moving in all of these books. And there's a 4th one! Coming up on the 21st of September is Island of Whispers by Frances Hardinge and Emily Gravett. This is the first time they have collaborated and they've created this beautiful illustrated fairy tale, which I have not yet seen in person, but I just can't wait to see it. It's going to be exquisite. Frances Hardinge might just be the queen of really imaginative, often slightly spooky fantasy stories, and Emily Gravett is an award-winning illustrator, and they are such a power team in this. Once a Monster by Robert Dinsdale is also coming out on the 21st of September. That is a retelling of the legend of the Minotaur, but it has been moved through time and place, so it's now in Victorian London. So really, really creative retelling of a Greek myth. I have read a lot of Greek myth retellings. It's a genre I happen to adore and I love that this book is doing something a little bit different with it. It's going to have the kind of Dickensian darkness of Victorian London mixed with the high fantasy of this Greek myth retelling. I can't wait to see how it works. And on the subject of Greek mythology, Divine Might by Natalie Haynes is coming out on the 28th of September. I know, again, a lot of people are really excited for this one. So Divine Might is a non-fiction offering from Natalie Haynes. Natalie Haynes is such a brilliant author. She writes fictional retellings of Greek myths, but she also writes really engaging non-fiction about Greek myths and about the way they've been told and retold through the years. So Divine Might is specifically focusing on goddesses. Another book that's coming out on the 28th of October that I have actually already read and loved, so I can't wait for it to be out in the world, is Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. This is such a clever thriller. It's a really feminist telling of the true story of, I'm not going to say his name because the book very carefully doesn't say his name, but America's most infamous serial killer. So there have been a lot of adaptations of this story. There have been a lot of films about it, documentaries about it, books about it. And Jessica Knoll is making the point in here that this particular serial killer has had quite enough attention, and it's time that we turned our attention to the women who were his victims. And she also, throughout this book, really brilliantly kind of makes the case that he, who has been really glorified in a way, he's sort of remembered as being this incredibly charming, incredibly attractive, incredibly intelligent serial killer, and so people are kind of fascinated by him. And she makes the case that actually he wasn't that special. It was a system that failed women and allowed someone like him to kind of slip through the cracks and cause a lot of violence and fear to so many women. So it's a really, really clever, often brutal telling of this story. It's a fictionalized telling of this story, but you will be able to recognize elements from the truth. So it's about a woman who survived an attack on a sorority house, which really did take place, and it's kind of the aftermath of that and the terrible way that everyone responded to these girls who were attacked, from the police to the kind of the legal case trying to get the sorority house repaired. You know, the women, the girls, they were young, were sort of blamed at every step. So it's a book that will make you angry. It's so good. I love this one. I can't wait for everyone to read it and talk about it. Having just said that I don't read very much horror, I'm about to tell you another horror book that I'm really genuinely excited for. Out There Screaming by Jordan Peele is coming out on the 3rd of October. So this is going to be an anthology of horror stories by all black writers, all compiled by Jordan Peele. I mean, how cool is that? We're all out there screaming with excitement for this anthology. I know it's going to give me nightmares, but I've just got to brave it. And then on the complete other end of the scale, about as far from horror as you could possibly get, coming out on the 5th of October is The Kamagawa Food Detectives by Hisashi Kashiwai. This sounds adorable, really wholesome. This is the first book in what's going to be a series. So it's translated from Japanese, and it's about a father-daughter duo who run a food detectives business. So through a series of investigations, they are basically able to recreate a dish that holds particular significance to you and kind of unlocks some memories. So it might be the last dish that a loved one made for you before they died, for example. It might be something that invokes a particular time and place of your life. And kind of similar to the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series, even though this one isn't about time travel, it's still about kind of unlocking things and feelings from your past that can lead to a more contented future. So it just sounds adorable and heartwarming, and maybe I might cry a little bit too. Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. Pause for the screams. That one is coming out on the 10th of October. I'm sure I do not need to put that one on your radar. It's been one of the biggest, most hyped books of the year so far. This is Cassie Clare's first adult book. So she's a really, really beloved YA writer, and this is her first adult book. And oh my goodness, we have done a few events. I've met a lot of influencers, a lot of people in the online book community who just cannot contain their excitement for this book. People who grew up loving her work and just cannot wait. I am very, very excited for My Gothic Heart, which is an anthology compiled by my wonderful colleague, Charlie Castelletti. This is going to be so exciting. So My Gothic Heart is an anthology of some of the best Gothic writing. It's got extracts from writers like Anne Radcliffe, the Bronte sisters, Bram Stoker, up to Virginia Woolf. This is writing that is really there to pull at your heartstrings, writing that is just designed to make you feel something so deeply. So many of us readers have deep Gothic hearts that are going to be brought to life by this book. Also on the 12th of October is coming Roman Stories by Jhumpa Lahiri. Jhumpa Lahiri is one of my favourite writers. She has perfected the art of the short story, so this is her latest collection of short stories. Honestly, if you have never really read short stories before, Jhumpa Lahiri is such a good place to start because she's just so masterful at them. And of course, if you love short stories, then, I mean, she is the top of the top. She is Jhumpa Lahiri. So I'm very excited to read her next collection. Darling House by Alex E. Harrow is coming out on the 31st of October, just in time for Halloween, because this is another spooky gothic fairy tale. Alex E. Harrow is an author again that people go wild for. I know so many people have been having so many emails from people so excited to get their hands on this book. I don't even have a book. All of the proofs have been sent out because everyone's just been going nuts for them. So let me get a copy first. But it sounds brilliant. This is a sort of haunted house story. It's about sort of curse, this bad luck that has been passed down through generations of this house, and the girl who is going to have to dig into the secrets of this house if she ever wants to really have a home. Now I know I cannot be the only one who is so excited for Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget, the sequel that is finally coming out to Chicken Run, one of the best movies ever made, and so of course I'm equally excited about the fact that we have a book coming of Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget, which is going to be out on the 2nd of November. It's an official companion to the movie. It's going to have artwork from the movie. It may be a book for children. I don't care. I'm going to read it. And then on the 9th of November, 2 books are coming out that I know everyone is going to be so excited for. The first is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree, which is the prequel to Legends and Lattes. So this is cozy, low-stakes fantasy. Legends and Lattes is about an orc who set up a coffee shop. In Bookshops and Bone Dust, we go back in time and we find her working at a bookshop. So just as cozy as the first book was, everyone's going to love this one. And then also coming out on the 9th of November is A Power Unbound by Freya Marske, which is book number 3, the 3rd and final book in the Last Binding trilogy. So this is another fantasy series. This is historical romance fantasy. They're really, really fun books. Each book, they're set in the same world. Each book centres on a different romance. So this time we have Lord Hawthorne, who has renounced magic but has been reluctantly sucked back into that world, and he is going to meet Alan Ross, a writer and thief. So seemingly these two men could not be more different. But you know Freya Marske, she can spin anything into a cracking romance. So I cannot wait to watch these two crazy kids fall in love, because I just have a feeling they're gonna. So those are the books I am most excited about coming out for the rest of 2023. I would love to know yours. Let me know in the comments below which are your most anticipated books for the second half of the year. There's just so much coming out that I can't wait to read. I'm not going to have time for it all. I'm going to have to quit my job just to read books. If you want to find out more about books that are already out in the world, I will link here to a playlist of all of my book haul videos where I unbox some of the best books that we publish each month. So you can click through there and fill up your shopping basket immediately, or pre-order any of the books that I just mentioned in this video. And don't forget to subscribe to Book Break for new videos each week, and I'll see you next time.